It's Harry from The Sun.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to come along and support farmers.
How do you think it's went?
Well, I mean, it's too big a crowd to have a march, so that's the real reason I bought the farm, was because I wanted to shoot. So I thought if I told a bunch of people that I'd bought a farm so I could shoot pheasants.
Mr. Starmer, while you jet off to climate conferences, our farmers are facing a crisis of biblical proportions. These were the words Jeremy Clarkson used to kick off his confrontation with the Prime Minister on live television. Now, before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Clarkson's impassioned plea for action has sparked a national debate. But what's the real story behind his outburst? And will his celebrity status be enough to force the government's hand? Let's dive into the details of this extraordinary encounter and what it means for the future of British farming. The tension in the studio was palpable as Jeremy Clarkson and Keir Starmer faced off. Clarkson, known for his outspoken advocacy for farmers and his history of challenging politicians, sat across from a visibly uncomfortable Starmer. The Prime Minister's recent political moves and public image struggles had left him vulnerable, and Clarkson was about to exploit that weakness. As the cameras rolled, Clarkson wasted no time in launching his attack. Mr. Starmer, while you jet off to climate conferences, our farmers are facing a crisis of biblical proportions, he began, his voice filled with controlled anger.
The real reason I bought the farm was because I wanted to shoot. So I thought if I told a bunch of people that I'd bought a farm so I could shoot pheasants. Apart from the quinine in the tonic, otherwise everything else is British. Help yourselves, grab yourself a pint, grab yourself some great food, enjoy yourselves, it's a nice day, and there's no traffic chaos.
The accusation caught Starmer off guard, and it was clear he hadn't prepared for such a direct confrontation. Clarkson's passion was evident as he laid out the stark realities facing British farmers. He spoke of inheritance tax changes that threatened generations of family farms, agricultural subsidies that failed to keep pace with rising costs, and environmental regulations that squeezed small farmers dry. His arguments were backed by hard statistics, painting a grim picture of an industry on the brink of collapse. Starmer attempted to defend his policies, but his responses revealed a shocking lack of understanding of rural issues. He stumbled over basic facts about agricultural subsidies and seemed unaware of the recent protests that had brought thousands of farmers to the streets. Clarkson pounced on these missteps, accusing the Prime Minister of being detached from the realities facing working people and more focused on political optics than taking meaningful action. As the confrontation intensified, Starmer's carefully crafted political facade began to crack. He grew visibly flustered, struggling to maintain his composure in the face of Clarkson's relentless questioning. The celebrity farmer's presence and credibility served as a megaphone for the concerns of an agricultural community that felt ignored by the government. The climax came when Clarkson demanded concrete action on inheritance tax reform. Starmer's vague promise to review the situation was met with derision from Clarkson, who shot back, "These farmers don't need another review, they need help now." The Prime Minister's inability to provide a satisfactory answer left him looking weak and out of touch. As the segment ended, it was clear that Clarkson had scored a decisive victory. Within minutes, social media exploded with clips of the confrontation, and as Clarkson v. Starmer began trending nationwide. The showdown had exposed the deep divide between urban politicians and rural communities, leaving Starmer and his party scrambling to respond to a crisis they had largely ignored. As Clarkson v. Starmer continued to dominate social media, a staggering statistic emerged. Within just 2 hours, the confrontation had generated more online engagement than the last 3 months of Labour's official communications combined. This unprecedented reaction revealed a deep-seated frustration with the disconnect between Westminster and rural Britain. The The public response was a mixed bag of emotions. Clarkson's supporters praised his no-nonsense approach, applauding him for giving voice to the struggles of farmers. Finally, someone speaking truth to power, one viral tweet proclaimed. On the other hand, Starmer faced a barrage of criticism, with many questioning his grasp on rural issues. The Prime Minister's fumbling responses became instant meme material, further eroding his credibility. This confrontation didn't just expose Starmer's weaknesses, it shone a spotlight on the growing urban-rural divide in British politics. For years, farmers had felt ignored by London-centric policies. Now, their grievances were front and center in the national conversation. Agricultural organizations seized the moment, flooding news outlets with statements backing Clarkson's claims and demanding immediate action from the government. The political fallout was swift and severe. Labour MPs from rural constituencies found themselves in an uncomfortable position, caught between party loyalty and the needs of their constituents. Some broke ranks, publicly calling for a reassessment of the party's agricultural policies. The Conservative opposition, sensing blood in the water, launched a coordinated attack on Starmer's leadership and understanding of real Britain.
It's Harry from The Sun.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to come along and support farmers.
How do you think it's went?
Well, I mean, it's too big a crowd to have a march, so that's the real reason I bought it, is because I wanted to shoot.
But you oppose what the government's proposing?
Oh God, yes. I mean, as I've said in the past, I mean, a lot of farmers today, let's not forget, are on gritting duties.
Yeah.
I know two who weren't able to be here today because they feel obliged to clear the roads of snow.
Media figures from across the political spectrum weighed in on the debate. Right-leaning outlets praised Clarkson's common-sense approach, while left-leaning publications grappled with the implications for Labour's electoral strategy. Political commentators debated whether this moment would be a turning point in British agricultural policy or just another flash in the pan. Facing mounting pressure, Labour's damage control efforts kicked into high gear. Whispers of an emergency policy review began to circulate, with sources hinting at potential concessions on inheritance tax and subsidy structures. But for many in the farming community, these moves felt like too little, too late. As the dust began to settle, a larger question loomed. What did this confrontation mean for the future of British agriculture and food security? The clash between Clarkson and Starmer had laid bare the challenges facing the industry, from climate change to global competition. It was clear that whoever could address these issues effectively would shape the future of rural Britain, and perhaps the nation as a whole. The Clarkson-Starmer confrontation has laid bare the deep divide between urban politicians and rural communities. It's exposed Starmer's lack of understanding on farming issues and highlighted the urgent need for action. The aftermath has seen a surge in public support for farmers, forcing Labour to reconsider its agricultural policies. But will this lead to real change, or is it just another political storm that will blow over? The clash raises a crucial question. Can our political system truly address the complex challenges facing British agriculture? From climate change to global competition, the future of farming hangs in the balance. The disconnect between Westminster and the countryside threatens not just rural livelihoods, but our national food security. This moment serves as a stark reminder that understanding rural issues isn't just good politics. It's essential for the health of our democracy and our dinner plates. As the dust settles, one thing is clear. Whoever can bridge the urban-rural divide may well shape the future of Britain itself.